All right, what is going on, guys? Welcome. We got the first Barbell Bros TV podcast. We've been planning this for a while. We got a lot of stuff in the works, but I'm here with maybe the only man who lives in Kentucky. He's the only one who's not drinking bourbon, betting on horses. He's the lean, mean, protein eating machine. He's the slightly scary, not too hairy Larry, the human lobster.
What an
Welcome.
intro, bro. I appreciate it, man. To our own podcast.
Yeah.
Dude, that intro sounds like I'm coming in as like a world star wrestler over here.
Oh yeah, yeah. The jet
I'm
flying,
a little slimmed
limousine
down,
riding.
so it's kind of lobstery, but not too much.
Yeah. But I mean, Larry the Lobster. That's what we should have put instead of like your picture over here. Should have put Larry the Lobster in.
We'll crop that in on the second one.
Yeah. But welcome, guys. Thank you for all of those y'all that are tuning into this. We're planning on doing many more of this unless we get a bunch of feedback that we suck. So, but
But
we
then that's constructive criticism. So give us
yes.
some feedback, continue to improve, baby.
Exactly. But we just wanted to start a little platform where we could really try to help others out and, just talk about our passions a little more. And the big topic for today is CrossFit versus bodybuilding.
Yep.
And,
See who's bigger over here. I don't know, David.
yeah, I know, right? But, to kind of kick things off, obviously, we have very different opinions when it comes to the health industry, but we probably share some that are a lot alike just based off a lot of discussion we've had. I
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
know what your
Health as well.
yeah, I want to know what your overall like thoughts on CrossFit is for, let's say, the general public.
Honestly, dude, general public, don't take any offenses, but it more so seemed like more so a meme. Like people would always meme on it, create different things online, and I'd see it reshared, especially between like powerlifting and bodybuilding. A lot of people shit on CrossFitters. So I didn't know a ton going into it, honestly. And then starting hanging around you a little bit, I've understood like how impressive it is and what goes into it. A lot of cardio. So I don't know how well I do at it, but it is super, super impressive. And it is a little bit of balance between bodybuilding and powerlifting, and then also just kind of being like a athlete type material.
Yeah,
So
and I mean,
I don't have some respect for it. When I figured out you were like a TikTok CrossFit guy, I was like, Davis, is that right? I know we're both sales dudes out here, but interesting.
yeah. So, a little bit of background on me. I started in CrossFit a little over 10 years ago. I walked into a CrossFit gym. Well, my dad had been doing it for a while, a little before
10
that.
years?
Yeah, man. He's been in it for a long time. I'd go in do some speed and agility there. Occasionally hopped into Metcons. When I started, I could not do a pull up, and I think I can maybe power clean 75 pounds.
How much did you weigh? How big were you?
Oh, I think I was 92 pounds.
And you couldn't do a pull up?
No,
That's when it's the easiest.
dude, no, I could not. I could not do a pull up.
So what's a Metcon before we get into it? Because I have viewers from my account. You're gonna have to explain everything from left to
Yep,
right.
there you go. Well, Metcons metabolic conditioning, or like typically it is your fast-paced cardio workout, but it can be done in a numerous amount of ways. It's very similar to HIIT, high interval training, high intensity interval training. Um, but yes, so typically you'll go to a CrossFit gym. You have your warm up, you have your coach that leads you through the warm up, and then he explains whatever the strength is. The strength can be like 5x5 back squats based off your percentage. And usually you have about 20 minutes to do that. It kind of depends on what the Metcon or the workout of the day is after that. Then you hop in and you knock out your Metcon, your WOD. It could be anything that's like a mile run for time. It could be an AMRAP. It could be some
Running
interval
too.
work. Huh?
Running too. Damn.
Yeah, man. A lot of running in CrossFit. Actually, I didn't run too much today. We only had 1,200 meters. But yeah, pretty much everything. It covers all aspects of fitness. And with me personally, when I was programming and when I was still coaching, I programmed a lot of bodybuilding, or what I like to call functional bodybuilding, just to kind of build all of the pillars across fitness for my athletes at least. So
Do you not coach at all anymore? And did you also, to follow up with that, did you start with a coach originally like 10 years ago, or how did you like kind of progress into taking it this serious? I know you compete and you just had a recent competition.
So basically, I started just going to the classes, and I would get a little extra help since, I was this like 12, 13-year-old kid that
Mhm.
like I was athletic, like I was really fast.
Yeah, I guess going to background, I'll do the same thing, but like
Yeah.
sports and kind of what led you to that, or what helped wise, or like on my side of things, like what hurt me sports wise, like slowed me
Yeah.
down in my progress now.
Yeah, but I had a little bit of one-on-one coaching. My buddy Cord Gunnan, whose wife may make the Olympics for Olympic lifting this next
Shout out.
cycle. Dude, she just medaled down in, were they down in Brazil or Venezuela for wherever?
Female CrossFitters. Talked a lot about them.
Yeah.
Not sure why, but I think they're very successful.
Yeah. But yeah, he would do one-on-one sessions with me, like, because I was doing football workouts. I had quit playing football at this point, but I was doing football workouts, and I was just crushing all these guys that were older than me. I was crushing them in every single metcon we would do. And he's like, "Hey man, I've seen you do these competitions, or I've seen your dad at these competitions. I know you're really into CrossFit." He's like, "Why aren't you competing?" And I was like, "Oh, I was told I wasn't old enough." He's like, "Who the hell told you that?" So then, like, from then on,
Right.
it's been a fire. Still work in progress. I get always trying to get 1% better. I've had a few setbacks, but moving to my background, I was football, basketball, baseball, golf, tennis growing up, so everything, road, ton of motocross, all that kind of stuff. So I was always very active. I never raced. I was on the
Yeah,
verge.
that on another time. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
I was. I never raced, but I was on the verge of racing, but I wasn't the best.
Pure entertainment, like
Yeah.
crazy crashes and like obstacles and whatnot.
Oh yeah. But go and explain your background. I've been spitting for too long.
Yeah, yeah, no, you're good. So I guess more so bodybuilding now, but previously I did a little bit of powerlifting. I'll kind of jump to the start. So football was always the main thing. I played baseball. I was a catcher. Like indoor soccer and stuff is a joke, but like the main thing was always football. So it was getting bigger for football. I was packing peanut butter sandwiches at every
Yeah,
period.
PBJs.
You know how it is. Just stuff in your face, dirty balking. Because you had to be like a certain weight. You had to put on size to be varsity running back, whatever the hell
Yeah.
they would feed you back then. I would train like a football player, more explosive lifts, a lot of 3x3s, a lot of 5x5s, and then of course some cardio and drills like that. And then I got to college and I was like, finally, I can focus on weightlifting. I love bodybuilding. I've been in the gym my whole life since like eighth grade. And then sophomore year of college, I got looped into being a cheerleader at the University of Cincinnati. So I cheered to the end of my, what was it? No, started my senior year. I quit to kind of focus on bodybuilding for one. And then also
Yeah.
two, like I had some money because it was just, I mean, we had a super small scholarship, but it was just so much work,
Yeah,
honestly.
you were a flyer, right?
Exactly, dude. I'll just show you videos of people trying to throw me, which is quite funny.
That
But
is awesome.
it was cool. My dad was just like, "Man, what the hell has gotten into you? You're going from football to cheer." And then he started to see me on the field with like all the teammates. And he's like, oh, "Okay, I get it. I get it." I'm like,
Yeah.
it gets a lot of respect from the older guys for sure. But it was an awesome learning activity. Yeah. But like in terms of bodybuilding, it set me back a little bit. I won't go
Hmm.
too into it right now, but like it was all stunting with our hands and our shoulders, right? So our shoulders got overdeveloped, and then we'd also have to do these things called QPs, where you hold somebody with one arm like up in the air. It's called
Yeah,
squat
yeah, yeah, yeah.
with it, and I would always do it with my right arm because the right arm I was the most coordinated with, strongest with, most powerful. So my right arm and lat got way overdeveloped, and it was kind of just a thing like you don't care how your physique is because you got to be the best cheerleader. And I was competing on like varsity for whatever the competition is in Orlando. But in the back of my mind, I was just like, man, I can't wait this for to be over so I can actually lock into lifting weights how I want to be doing, a regimen schedule, eating how I want to be getting, and progressing in like a sport that I can chase for the rest of my life,
Yeah.
realistically.
Yeah, well,
But that's a little bit of the life of Larry, my man.
Life of Larry the lobster.
We'll go into a little bit of topics. I think would be a good next step.
Yeah. My first thing I wanted to bring up is, what are some of the negatives you see with CrossFit?
Um, Not targeted at you at all, but I think that you can blow out your waist a little bit. It's very core oriented, and I know it's a debatable topic because I lift heavy too, so my core's engaged all the time. So like a little bit of a powerlifting background, I've done powerlifting in the past. And I don't know, they say it blows out your waist, but I'm not sure. But I notice a lot of cross do have the bigger blocks with more, projecting
Hmm.
defined abs in their front.
Yeah.
So overall, I don't know if there's between that. It's just something I noticed.
Hmm.
So in terms of, I guess, physique wise, obviously it's not ideal for physique, but I think for overall health, it probably is healthier than body.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think typically a lot of the ones you're seeing too are like these games level, high level athletes or CrossFit athletes
Yeah,
who are
I just think
training.
the
Yeah.
the main clips,
Yeah, yeah. So you're seeing the freaks, like the genetic freaks, like the people that put me to dust. Um, and yeah, that's something that is that does happen. Their abs start to protrude a little because they're doing so much overhead. They're doing so many handstands. Like if you look at a lot of gymnasts, especially like your Simone Biles, your top level ones, like if you look at her abs do the same thing. They kind of like barrel out. She's got a pretty
Yeah.
wide core, but it's like probably one of the strongest cores in the world.
Absolutely. I wouldn't argue that at all. Which is why, I mean, the muscle's grown so much that the waist expands, I think.
Yep. I mean, if you see like somebody, the only person who's like at that high level that doesn't look super blocky to me is Rich Froning, who's the GOAT. He won the CrossFit Games 4 times in the row, but
Yep.
the dude overhead squats 400 pounds. So
That's
so
like extended arm squatting. Dude.
yeah, yeah, man.
Talk about core strength too. The
That
stability, balance of that. Like people overlook that. They just like, man, he's got strong legs. Like no.
No, it's all shoulder and core stability. But moving back to some negatives that I see, I'll chime in for bodybuilding. One thing that I always see, because like a lot of bodybuilding's done at Globo gyms, which never get the best rep. I hate them personally.
What do you mean? Just like a crunch or Planet Fitness?
Yeah,
Like
your
just
crunch, your plant. I don't even want to talk about Planet Fitness, but like, yeah, your gyms like that. That's where you see a lot of bodybuilding. You see your old heads in there that are just juiced off all the testosterone.
4 or 5 in high school shirts.
Yeah, yeah, that mess. That's your issue with bodybuilding. No, but I don't know, just
That's all you
some
can think.
no. So some of the negatives I see, there's a lot of ego lifting. There's a lot of, I guess, self appearance issues that people develop.
For sure.
Just what I've seen, because like, dude, guy walks in there's never worked out before, and he's in there working out next to you. What's he gonna think? I mean, granted, that's the same thing in CrossFit, but a lot of times people are coming to CrossFit gyms just to get better, just to get healthier, just to get in better
And actually
shape.
positive. And I feel like CrossFit and bodybuilding, people go into the gym in general to find a way to get healthier. Then they fall in love with something in the gym, which it may be street cardio, it may be swimming, it may be
Yep.
CrossFit, powerlifting, bodybuilding. I don't want to shit on powerlifting. For the most part, I think that powerlifting gets like unhealthy weight wise, or people, body fat super high because weight moves.
Yep. Mass moves mass.
Powerlifting, I don't want to be like that. I want to look good, feel good, play good. You know what I mean?
Yep. Oh yeah, I got you. But yeah, that's really my biggest negative for there. There's also like you see now the whole SARM goblins that go in. Like you'll see
Oh,
these 17-year-old kids that are going in, they're wanting to be C-bum. They go
yeah.
in there, they start juicing, they screw everything up, and then in like sure, yeah, they may see quick results, but in 5, 6 years, man, they are gonna have some issues.
That, and I was just telling people about that, man. Like when you the process, there's a visual appearance that looks different. Like your skin is, you have stretch marks all over it. You're
Mhm.
overdeveloped in certain like areas, especially if you're using stuff early. At like your androgen receptor areas are just blown out. When you take it slow and steady, I feel like the physique is so much more balanced, and it's just a cleaner look. Like you just look better, healthier,
Yeah.
bigger, and sometimes it just takes forever. It does.
Oh yeah.
Um, but like, another really cool thing about bodybuilding, not to dive too much, take the phone over here, but like no matter what time wise, even if there's dudes 17 hopping on stuff, if I've put in the 10 years of work from when I was 18, even 2 years of them hopping on stuff, they won't catch up. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Or even other, not even myself, but it does take time regardless of
Oh
what you
yeah.
do, which is cool. I like that part about it. You can't like buy, you can't, and like you said, they're just screwing themselves up. I want a shortcut, and you end up an ass.
Yeah. So get started now. Go. But um
It's that you should have started 20 years ago, but if you don't start now, you're wasting your
yeah.
time. What's that for salad verse or some shit?
Yeah. The next thing I kind of wanted to dive in. Yeah, we talked about general public. I think both could be great, really beneficial. I just want people moving. I just want people doing something. Granted, I'd push more people towards CrossFit if I could, but hey, if your thing is to go in there and bodybuild, go and powerlift some, go in there and swim, just go and run, do that. I just want everybody to move.
Better
Um,
yourself. Dude. The mental gains, like moving, yeah, the cardiovascular health, all that stuff is huge. I mean, we could go on and on about the health benefits, but man, the mental, uh,
Endorphins, baby.
yeah, that you learn so many principles. We don't really have to go into. I mean, this has been
Mhm.
overstated. You learn so many principles through just chasing any fitness journey.
Yeah, for sure.
Having-
Yeah. But the next thing I wanted to move into is more the competitive side of things, since you kind of dove a little bit into that already.
Mhm.
competitive CrossFit's like it's whole other thing, man. Like I can't like coming from me, I've
Go through a competition day here.
competition day. So we'll talk about my bigger one from a few months ago. Essentially, like you'll have competitions, like you can have your local comps that are like one day, and you know just kind of go there, partner competition, team competition, whatever. I'm typically shifting more towards ones where I have to qualify for, so I have to do like video submissions. I typically have to have a judge, things like that. But my day one, it'll be like, all right, wake up. A lot of people like to start with either a lift or like a really long cardio piece. It could be like a 5K trail run for time. So 3, 2, 1, go. Everybody takes off on the trail run. Obviously, whoever comes in first is first, second, and then all the way down to 75th or however many people are in it.
Are you
Um,
doing water cuts and stuff to make weight? Like when do you weigh in?
no,
Night
so
before?
you don't weigh in. You don't weigh in. You can be any body weight.
Really?
Yeah.
And
And
you all ages, all it's just open? Like
yep. So typically the age range for these competitions is like 18 to now they have a cutoff like at 35. But if you're older, you can do the RX competitions. Um, but obviously, when you start to get in your 30s, testosterone starts to dip, other things start to dip. So they have masters divisions. But yeah, essentially anybody could be doing it. Like I had a big competition last year that I had qualified for, the biggest one I'd been to yet. Got on the scale the night before, weighed 164. Yeah, went down
that's
there, um, and I did very well. I just struggled on a lot of the stuff where if you were bigger, you benefited. Like when we were squatting 135 pounds 90 times, like the guy that was next to me that was weighing 230, it takes way less out of him.
yeah, you were explaining that to me.
Yeah,
But the petite dude, the body weight, like I feel heavy breathing around, so it's
yeah,
asking. But
and that's the thing. Is usually you have stuff that offsets. Like you would have like a ton of gymnastics or a ton of cardio in it that offsets it to where it's all even. Sometimes competitions aren't programmed the best, so you'll get one where it's favoring it. And if you were a little bigger, this competition was just favoring you. But I've been at competitions where they've favored me. Well, what used to be me, because you know I'm walking around a solid 180 now. You know, putting on that size.
good for you, man. That's good. 160s to 180s major.
Yeah, 4,500 calories a day, baby.
I don't even know. Yeah, you got a fast metabolism, man. I mean, you just burn so many calories
Mm-hmm.
realistically.
Yep, I'm burning a ton.
On the other end, I try to preserve calories so I can put on weight because
Yeah,
I have fast metabolism too. So like the only cardio I'm doing is after I eat so that I can eat more.
yeah, no, yeah, for sure. But yeah, so like the whole competition would end up being like 7 events or something like that, and sometimes they'll score it like this: like you finish first, you get 1 point; second place, 2 points; third, three, and then whoever has the least amount of points, or they'll do like the 100 point system where it's like 100, 95, 90, things like that. And they are
And is there like a federation that you're ranked in? Like, is it a overarching?
so they just started a thing called like the CrossFit World Rankings. It's still like very rough right now.
Mm-hmm.
It needs some work, but in order to get to the Olympics of CrossFit, the CrossFit Games, you have the CrossFit Open, which I think we had like 300,000 people competing it worldwide, men and women. And that's where you have a judge and all that. If you're one of the top people, you video it. And then if you're top 10% in your region, you move on to quarterfinals. And then quarterfinals for my region, I had to be top 60, and that was out of like 5,000. I was not top 60. The goal is for me to be top
That was
60 next year. Um,
chase it, bro.
but if you make that top 60, then you go to semifinals. And then if you're, for my semifinal this year, if you were top 11, or if you're top 11, because it comes up next month, if you're top 11, you go to the CrossFit Games. And the CrossFit Games,
That's big time.
dude, if you're at the CrossFit Games, you are a bad mofo.
Now, don't they have something in the Olympics as well? Like that's the CrossFit Games, correct?
Nothing really Olympic wise. We do have like, I mean, there's some CrossFitters that have gone to the Olympics for Olympic lifting.
Yeah.
But nothing really in the Olympics. It's just the best thing to compare the CrossFit Games to is the Olympics, because it's just like so incredible if you make it there once. Um,
And it's documented like all
mhm.
over. And
Yes,
they
yes.
put, is that on ESPN?
It was on ESPN. I think they've been doing CBS or whatever, whoever they signed a contract with. But another thing that's big is if you go to semis and you qualify, you get drug tested there. You're also in a drug testing portal where they could come up around at any time throughout the year, drug test you then, and they drug test you at the games as well.
Now,
So,
what percent do you think gets away with?
dude, there's a lot of people who've gotten popped the past 2 years.
It just gets more and more competitive, dude. Bodybuilders, people use more and more.
Yep.
It's insane.
So a lot of people have gotten popped. Granted, I still think there are guys getting away with it, and you used to get so I have a CrossFit Regionals shirt on. That's what semifinals used to be. You would see guys that would show up, dominate day 1, day 2, then would just like shit the bed day 3, or like you'd see them half-assing it because if they qualified, they were gonna get drug tested and banned. And it was just like it was so obvious. Like you could tell they were juiced to the gills, man.
Damn, interesting, dude. I wonder how timing is that. I mean, that's probably a whole different world for you to compare to.
Yeah. It-
Timing things out to get a system.
yeah.
Honestly.
No, I know there's people that do. I know there's people that haven't got caught.
Just like
Do I know
anything,
anyone
dude.
personally? I have a few people in mind, that if they were to qualify this year, they would pop.
You're like bug-eyed at them. Yeah,
Well, no,
interesting.
yeah, they'd get drug tested and they wouldn't pass, unless they cycled correctly.
Yeah,
But like the drugs, the PEDs that people take, like it's all over the place, man. Um, there's been people that take just like straight up steroids. There's been people that have tried to blood dope. There's been all kinds of things like that.
yeah, it's a whole different world, dude. I mean,
Yeah,
bodybuilding's just more so, like
yeah.
blood doping and things like that. That's
hmm
true.
I see a
But that even
lot.
like your oxygen intake is raised,
hmm
correct?
Yep, yep. And I don't know if it works as well as people say it does.
Yeah,
Um,
because who did that? Lance
and
Armstrong.
Lance Armstrong, baby.
Yeah, that's funny.
But I've seen like a lot of test, growth hormone, things like that. Um, and granted, like God, I'd probably weigh more than 180 pounds if I
Oh,
was on it, man. I wish.
put on. You'd be 200, dude. Easy.
That is the best compliment ever when people are like, "Hey, bro, what are you taking?" And I'm like, "Creat,
Creatine, chocolate
creat,
milk.
creatine, whey protein, baby."
Yep, that's the recipe right there, man. That's all you need.
I was like, I eat Chick-fil-A like twice a week.
Yeah, dude. I was gonna say like we can go on a diet whenever. I don't know how healthy you eat. You're always just like, man, I'm shoving my face, but like if it fits the macros, it's cool.
Yeah.
Or how,
So my diet, so I just kind of backed off some, and I've started to clean it up. But I like to do Monday through Friday. I'm eating super clean. Like today, I had Kodiak cakes for breakfast. I had chicken and rice for lunch, and then for dinner, I had steak and sweet potatoes.
yeah, I know we bonded over our red meat talks.
hmm And then
Like
I'm
you said, man won't eat it, don't eat it.
yeah, if caveman won't eat it, don't eat it. But
That's right.
I am not the biggest vegetable fan or greens fan, so I eat a lot of baby food that has greens in it, and I've hopped on the liver trend, so I'll eat some liver. And then I also have this thing called pluck, which is what I was telling you about. It's a seasoning. It's just ground up organs, so it's like heart, liver, and something else.
That's
It, you can sprinkle it in your food, and it gets you a little bit of that micronutrients. Um,
yeah, it's essentially, especially with like foods that don't have a ton of nutrients, like chicken over ground beef. Like chicken would
mhm,
be nice to know with.
mhm.
Some of those.
Yeah, but let's go and hear your competitive side of bodybuilding, like because we know powerlifting, whoever lifts the most fucking weight. But
Yeah, yeah, dude. Bodybuilding is complicated. Honestly, I just put two guys through a show. I've competed previously, but I just recently put two guys through a show, man. And you're starting anywhere from 12 to 20 weeks out of the body for a dieting phase, like eating the same foods so that you can then
mhm,
away from foods. I always tell my clients like you want to have as many variables as you can controlled, so you continue to have like more things you can throw in there. So like if you're starting out low cardio, high quality food at high calories, things like that, you can add in, eventually like the you can add in taking away food, you can add in stairmaster, just low carb. You always want to have more at play, is what. But as you get down to the competition, lower body fat, lower food, more steps, things like that. But competition day, you'll have a week. Peak weeks normally, or it should be, at least my opinion, you're not screwing a ton of stuff up. The work should be done. You're just perfecting things. You shouldn't be, changing your salt, potassium, water. It goes as far as like people layer They say you're supposed to be as lean as like the back of your skin. So like feeling right here, that's the skin should feel all over, like your glutes, your legs, your lower back, things like that. It's wild how lean you have to get, and then you worry about like the balance of potassium, water, sodium to get remove that thin layer of water from their skin. So they're really saran wrap look, which is, I mean, that's where it gets very unhealthy. Like this in general, getting that lean after like 10%, you're sacrificing thyroid functions, hormone, and it's all for kind of to the point of this message for like 30 seconds on the stage, which is mind blowing.
Yeah.
People risk and just grind for so long, and you're on stage for prejudging. Like, man, you maybe got 5 minutes max of like stage presence and judging, and then you'll have a couple other comparisons. You're going to like a do a routine that's only 30 seconds long.
Yeah.
So you're on stage a whole lot. It's crazy. It goes by like, and it's just all that preparation. Like show day, you'll wake up at 5 a.m. While you're straightening out what you're doing and everything. I'd be patching my boys up.
Mm-hmm.
But you wake up at 5 a.m. Start your meals depending on how like how they're looking. Obviously, you feed them differently. So like one guy I had 3 meals before he woke up because he does better with more food. Another guy I just gave him 2 meals. And yeah, it's just finding the balance, the correct way to fill them up. Carb, normally low protein because you're not building muscle.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that's show day, man. You go through your quarter turns and you go through your mandatories, and you'll have different classes. So there's men's physique, there's multiple classes in bodybuilding, there's class of physique, which is where Bumstead and all the popular guys compete.
Arnold, baby.
Yeah, I wouldn't say more popular, but
it's in the limelight right now.
Yeah, Classic's definitely at the top of it just because I feel like open bodybuilding's pushed the envelope so much. People are just like, whoa, come on, dude. But I love it because I love watching it and blowing.
Yeah.
How those dudes are.
The dudes that can't like itch their own ass.
Yeah, I do not want to be. It's the battle. I got to stay on physique, which is 194, but I'm like 217 now. So if I cut down to 194, I'd be pretty diced.
Nice.
It's wicked, man. The stuff that goes into it, like people will really put their life on.
Yeah. See, like I love the whole working out thing. I originally tried to start, with high school weight training, bodybuilding, that kind of stuff. Didn't like it, hated it, and I love like the lifting, like picking up heavy weight and CrossFit. But man, there's nothing like when I finish a Metcon or workout of the day, and I am just dying. Like I'm laying on the ground. Like I have this thing called an airwave. So it's this like mouthpiece that sits right on my bottom teeth. It opens up like my air path a little more, and it's also good for like so I don't grind the crap out of my teeth when I'm like deadlifting and stuff like that. But like my last interval round, I was doing wall balls, and like I originally went into it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna break these up, and then I was going through it, I'm like, nah, we ain't dropping this, and I'm like throwing up my airwave. I'm like going,
no.
And then like when I finished that workout, I was I felt great.
It's a different type of euphoria, man. Like working toward whether it's just a goal or just like afterwards, like working off and absolutely being, I gave everything.
Yeah, like I've tried not to go to that dark place very often.
Always, honestly.
Yeah.
How does that feel? It's like a high almost.
Yeah, I try not to go to that dark place often, but there have been multiple times I've been training. I've done it a few times in qualifiers as well, where I have met pukey. I've thrown everything up at the end of the workout. I've
no for leg days, man.
Yeah, I've blacked out like twice. It's only been like twice. Yeah.
Dude, only twice. You shouldn't black out at all.
Yeah, it was bad.
From what? Just like dehydration, just overexertion?
One, it was just like I had like trained way too hard. We were doing back squats. We were doing like 10 every minute on the minute for 10 minutes, and we were doing it at like, was it 275? It may have been 275. And I was like,
that's much weight you move, man.
It was either 275 or 225, but it was 10 every minute for 10 minutes. So it ended up being 100 squats. And yeah, I can't remember if it was 275 or 225. My buddy Steven will know, because me and him did it, and like he had to put up all my stuff. I like couldn't function.
goodness, I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah.
10 by 10 with 225 on squat.
Yeah.
Cool.
And not like a break. You had like, because you finished 10, you had 20 seconds left to
Yeah,
rest.
but you know you got that end result, so it's just
Mm-hmm.
you don't even. Yeah, I can see how you black out honestly. Dude.
Yeah.
So
Um,
let's go into a few things if you don't mind. I want to talk about like longevity. What you can do longer? Who has the oldest competing? Like long term health, long term.
yeah.
Then we can kind of go from there with some other topics.
Yeah. So do you mean more of like the competitive side or more of,
Do you have like moms and dads doing CrossFit? Do you have like are there any people like like obviously Ronnie Coleman's been
Mhm.
bodybuilding? Are there with like injuries that
Yeah. So,
what your is on the longevity, keeping this up for your time?
so this is what my dad says is always the greatest thing about CrossFit. He's in there and he's 55. I'm in there. Your soccer mom's in there. Your 15-year-old soccer players in there. Your firefighters in there. Your cops in there. Your Navy SEALs in there.
That's sick.
Everybody's in there, dude. I had a client.
I thought
She's
it was.
76 now, dude. And she was an animal. Obviously, like, I don't coach over there anymore since I graduated, but she was an animal, man. She'd come in and, like, I remember one time I had them doing a workout, and like we scale everything so everything can be scalable, and we always scale the weight for her. We don't want her doing anything too heavy. Well, this one girl I was coaching was getting really fit. Like, I was like, if you want to compete in CrossFit, you can. She's getting really fit, and she's like trying to burn it down on this workout, and I see this old lady next to her like looking, trying to catch her, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. That is,
Damn,
yeah. So
the competitiveness in there I think is really hardcore,
mhm.
which is the reason it motivates people to stick with it.
The biggest thing is it brings everybody together. It's the community aspect that's the great thing about CrossFit. Like, yeah, like you could go and do these workouts anywhere, which is great, but like the community aspect, being in a gym, having like 20, 30 people with you in a class, it's like sometimes it's that big, and like being able to push each other. It doesn't matter what fitness level you're at, it doesn't matter what career path you're at, like everyone's kind of there and suffering together or trying to get better together. So that's that, like that longevity of it's forever. Like,
Yeah, and that's dope. It's one of those things like golf where you can just pick up. I know golf's probably a little easier going, but that's
mhm,
something you have to stick with. I mean, working out wise, like bodybuilding, you can do it forever as well. I mean, look at Arnold; he's still lifting, doing
mhm.
well. But then others are dead at 50. So like, you're talking like competitive or like
Well, that's
just
because they,
building your body, like in the gym, working out, right?
yeah.
Because like I said, there's dudes that push the limits and they're dead at 50, 60. And there's other dudes like Arnold that'll probably lift until he literally hits the floor. Like it's just at the end of the day, he's not competing. Like you can't compete after a certain age because of how
Hmm.
brutal it is on your body and hormones and everything.
Yeah.
But I think like just that like building your body in the gym, it's super basic. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just another form of exercise like CrossFit. So I think
Hmm.
they're both correlated on that field. As a competitive side, I'm sure they both hit that cap. So that's what I was kind
Yeah.
of. I don't know how like where's your like in bodybuilding we have masters classes. I don't know how it works with
Same thing with
CrossFit.
CrossFit. So for the games, you have 35 to 39, 40 to 44, 45 to 49, 50 to 54, 55 to 59, and then 60 plus.
No, there's a 60 plus.
Dude, they're animals.
There's not a lot of 60 plus people bodybuilding. I don't want to see a lot of them either.
Yeah, they're
But
they're animals, man.
and that's another thing. Like I was listening to a podcast the other day. What's your opinion on this? Like, do you want to compete forever, or do you want to compete like when you're in your hot spot and on a high? People are always gonna remember that last competition.
Hmm.
If you go and kind of like okay, hang up the cleats type deal, like on a high note, they're. But if you're like never giving it up, it's kind of ridiculous at the end, ruining numbers. It shows that you never gave up, which is pretty sweet. But at the same time, you at that time period.
I mean, so when I started doing CrossFit, my ultimate goal was to make the CrossFit Games. When I went and got my level one, got certified to be a CrossFit coach, they were talking, like, we were just sitting around talking at the end of it, and they were like, hey, what are your guys' goals? And then it got to me. I'm a 16, 17-year-old kid at the time. They're like, what are your goals, Davis? And I was like, oh, I want to make the CrossFit Games. And like, this one girl like kind of laughed, and I was like, and I think I told you about this. She
Yeah.
kind of laughed, and I was like, what? And she's like, well, I made it to regionals a few times, and that took a lot of work. I don't think you understand how much dedication, how much hard work that takes. And I looked at her, and this coming, like, I'm 16, 17 years old. She's probably like
Yeah,
30.
I respect both sides of this,
Yeah.
honestly.
And I was like, well, me and you are not the same person. I bet you I could outwork you. But hey, I'm 16 years old. The games goes to 60 plus, so I got 44 more chances. Um,
Literally,
but dude,
heck, bro.
as much as I love competing, I love training. I love the grind of it. So I am always going to be training. Like, dude, even when like I blew out my
It's like
knee,
man, it's like brushing our teeth.
yeah, even when I blew up my knee, man, I was still doing something like every day. Like when they said that I could get my heart rate up, I was sitting there doing push-ups. I was working on my handstands. I did a ton of bench press. I did a ton of skier, get intervals. I did so much upper body. That's just how it's always been.
Yeah, man, it's a thing, man. It's a psychological addiction in a way. We love it, and
Hmm.
it's a great addiction to have, honestly. But it truly is.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but like even with like eating, like if I'm just eating like occasion, man, anxiety goes through the roof.
Yep.
I've had like 20 grams of protein and 100 fat a day. Like
Yeah.
I just like a chode. Like this sucks.
It was like when we were at Keeneland and we had two hot dogs for lunch.
Like I actually had a great company. Let me just slug 2 hot dogs, wash it down with super light. Like it's cool.
Yeah.
That it's fine every now and then, man. But like doing weeks on, I can't imagine. I don't want to talk about it, but like years never working out. The thing that I want to motivate people to work out is like you don't know what you're gonna feel until you try. Saying earlier, if you live your whole life, like your good days are just like a reference point of what you think is a good day. Like, you will have a great day if you start working, moving your
Hmm.
body. Just a little bit, change your eating habits.
Yeah. That's all it really is, man.
Vote for president. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. Mandate fitness, mandate movement.
Let's go.
Oh man. Oh man. Oh man. Oh man. But yeah,
All right.
we've talked about a ton of different stuff from CrossFit to bodybuilding. Is there anything else you kind of want to bring up right now?
It's been a good discussion, honestly. I mean, we could go into nuts and bolts. So, like, how is your and we crop stuff, but like listeners, if they're still sticking around for one, shout out to them. But two, we can go into kind of some info they might be able to grab.
Hmm.
So, how do you set up your nutrition? Like, what obviously depending on your goals, like bodybuilding versus CrossFit nutrition matter. Like,
Hmm.
are you trying to certain weights so the leverages are ideal, or kind of go into that, I guess.
Yeah, so we've kind of been testing where I sit at the best body weight wise. Obviously, I was a little too small. Like my one reps were with those guys, but we talked about earlier, like the amount it would take for me, like of exertion to keep up with just moving the lighter barbell the same amount of times as those guys, or like ripping on the rower or the bike. So I needed to be bigger. I'd probably still need to gain a little bit more weight, but I'm still not trying to gain too much weight because we have a ton of gymnastics in CrossFit. But when I
So,
came, go ahead.
so you're just trying to add muscle then,
Yeah,
realistically.
yeah. Essentially, that's just what I'll do. But as far as it comes to like my proteins, fats, and carbs, a big thing is when people come to CrossFit, they're most likely not eating enough carbs because they burn so much, man. Like we'd have people that would wear like the heart rate monitors, and which can be good and bad. And they're a good estimate of kind of what's going on. And like there's some days like I would look at people's heart rate monitors and like see how much they were burning. Dude, I'm just like y'all are probably not eating enough. So I'm pretty high carb, I'm pretty high protein. My fats are relatively high as well. Um,
So I was gonna say, like, for my athletes and even myself, like when I'm burning through carbs like crazy, a good way to slow that down is to up fat. So like
mhm,
higher amount of fats digest slower overall, so that'll slow down those carbs digesting.
yeah.
Which is another way to go about it. It's just calories at the end. Also, the more muscle you have, the more fat and
Mhm,
faster your metabolism is gonna go. Mostly, like
yeah.
your rep, what is it, basal metabolic rate or whatever it
Yeah.
is. You're gonna just as a bigger person, you're gonna be.
Yeah.
So that's another thing to keep in mind. Like if you're jacked CrossFitter trying to put on weight, but you're running and working every day, 2 days sometimes, you got to be eating a crazy amount of food.
Yeah, I've eaten a ton. Like I had it was really just one long session a day. Typically during the week I'm doing 2 days. Um just cuz like it's like
That's
I need a little bit of a break sometimes cuz like when I'm hitting 2 to 3 metcons a day, I need some sort of break. I can't, and I don't just want to sit there. Like I need to refuel. So that's why I try to break up 2 different sessions. Also, I have a life outside of CrossFit. I work.
Is that true?
Yeah. So.
Yeah, where do you work though, Buster?
Oh yeah. Don't worry about it.
That's right. Me and Davis actually work together, guys. We're not disclosing where, but we are some sales professionals.
Yeah.
That's how we like to talk a little bit.
Yeah. That's why you see the glistening smiles, man. That sparkle
I
in
know.
the teeth.
Yeah,
Um,
just happy, man.
but yeah, nutrition's kind of something you have to play around. There's a lot of nutrition coaches within CrossFit who know a whole lot about it. Another thing I kind of want to dive into though is doctors in CrossFit. When I was like 18 years old and I'd hurt my back in weight training in high school,
Mm-hmm.
or yeah, I was 17 or 18, the doctor told me, he was like, yeah, he's like, hey man, like, I get like you want to be big, you want to be fit and everything, but like, I don't think it's best for you to do CrossFit. And I said,
You're making me so pissed off, man.
and I,
Doctor suck.
and I was like, well, I don't want to look like you when I'm older.
Dude, not even that, man. Doctors just like don't want to suppress our
some,
limits. Like,
some, some.
yeah, some doctors, but like, man, it's just like I don't know. I remember getting like bitched at creatine and just eating 6 meals a day. Come on, like things like doing, like don't stop a man from goals. And they're still, they're still healthy at the end of the day. Like for our age, like yeah, pound and food training days might not be great for us when we're 60, but at least myself, I'm gonna shift kind of training wise, lifting and a lot more cardio. I mean,
Mhm.
that's what helps you live the longest. You're in a good spot with CrossFit because
Yeah.
cardio is a substantial chunk of it.
Hmm.
But like bodybuilding, dude, like I may be doing 20 minutes of cardio
Yeah.
4 times a week. Like,
Yeah.
and other than that,
Yeah. My biggest thing is so CrossFit. The definition of CrossFit is constantly varied functional fitness performed at a high intensity that is infinitely scalable. So basically, yeah, yeah. So almost every well, obviously, when you get into more the competitive side of CrossFit, like it's less and less functional as it's going on, but the core foundations of CrossFit are all very functional. Your most functional movement is probably a deadlift. Like think about it, how many times you gotta drop a pin on the ground, gotta bend over and pick it up. Like there's people that will give health advice, like doctors and stuff like that. Not all. Don't.
I would say squat over deadlift.
I
That's
don't
what
know,
I would do.
man. I don't
Just
know,
squat
man.
down and pick that thing up, even in that.
People are not squatting down to pick stuff up. They're bending over. They're arching their back every
If you
single time.
learn, if you learn the proper information on squat, you know that you need to squat
Yeah.
that
No.
down to be able to pick something up.
I guarantee, but most people are not, and they can't even do that without going. "Ah," which, granted,
That's me.
yeah, I'm like that at the end of the day. I'm like getting in my chair, like, ugh, like get up. All right.
I will say, like to give some pauses on that, dude. Strengthening your lower back is so valuable. It
Mm-hmm.
just protects you. It protects you so much. Like just from pulling things. Like I pull my back out when just from bed.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling how much little injuries can happen. Lower back is key.
Yep.
And I slacking on it in my training, and I did like I was doing some rows. It's more sore than my or lower back's more sore than the one
Yeah.
I'm trying to hit. And it's just because it's so weak. So like your weakest muscle for bodybuilding people out there, your weakest muscle is going to be taking some hits sometime doing some supported back exercises. So having a strong lower back can help your muscle too.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be whatever.
Yeah. Same for CrossFit, man. You have to like your core has to be strong, man.
And that helps with form too, for
Mhm.
sure too.
Yeah, like I do a ton of static holds. I'm doing also like I'm doing your forward planks, your side planks. I'm doing your back extension holds. I'm doing what are they called? I can't remember what they're called. Supinated, whatever. I'm doing a hold on GHD where I'm face up. I'm doing a ton just to kind of strengthen this
You guys have a lot
midsection.
of words, man. I feel like bodybuilding is pretty cut through simple.
Yeah,
Pick up weights,
yeah,
double front bicep, like
yeah.
uh,
So
we're
CrossFit
gonna.
is a cult since we have our own terminology.
I know. I'm looking forward to for those listening still. We're gonna be doing each other's workouts
Hmm.
eventually. I'm gonna start cross and do a bodybuilding
Yeah.
with. I'm excited for that.
Larry said he wants to do Fran.
I don't know what Fran means, but I am in for it.
We discussed this when we were up in Kentucky because we were originally thinking about doing Grace.
By the way, absolutely loves it here.
We were thinking about doing Grace, which is 30 clean and jerks for time for men at 135, and then
Damn.
yeah, 30 clean and jerks. So clean, boom, lock it out overhead. Not this.
Hey, I did clean in high school.
Yeah,
Easy.
yeah, I know. Yeah, clean, boom.
Didn't do a ton of the jerking part, but cleaning I can do.
Dude, you did so many clean and jerks in college as a cheerleader. How many times you did?
That's a great point. That's a great point. Yeah, because
Functional.
Yeah, that's true. Our biggest thing was like you need to explode, like flicking your elbows the same time you're snapping. So it's like explosion. Like it starts from the ground up, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But like surprise same with you. Like when you're doing your hang cleans, like you're pulling the upright row.
Yeah.
And your hips maybe to get up. I can't remember the form like that. But
Yeah. Go watch my 330 clean from Monday. Then you'll remember that form. Go watch that, man.
yeah. I'll let you hold 4 or 5 bench press me.
Yeah, no, I will never touch that in my life.
Yeah, it's like you're shaking a car or driving a car when you're 14 or something.
I think I could get it off the rack.
Yeah, we'll have you just feel it. Just feel what it's like for your little central nervous system and everything, man. That's a good way to actually get ahead of I guess programming heavier weight is you'll literally just hold it to get your body like, okay, this is what it feels like.
Yeah, it's kind of like
shots or overloading with just like that.
Yeah, so is it similar to doing like a box squat or like a quarter squat?
Yeah, kind of. Like it's more so like I'll do it with bands. Like I'll do even squat too. I'll have like bands. The tension's up really high, but as you squat down,
I do a ton of banded squats. Trust me, I know.
Build up more, so then it can help you out of the hole, and it'll loosen up at the top. So you can feel like if I was doing 600, I can feel 600 pounds on my back as I squat down. It's 580, 70, 60, 550. Whatever. 5.
Yeah. I just went through a cycle this past winter where I was doing banded squats once or twice a week. So.
Yeah, you could probably use a couple cycles.
I know, man. I need some. But Fran is another one. It's just a 21-15-9 thruster. So the barbell's in a front rack position. You squat down below parallel, press out overhead, and then pull-ups. So you do 21-21, 15-15, 9-9.
I'm down. We need to film that, and then you need to film one of my bodybuilding workouts.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then I guess this is be a good point to talk about some of our future videos. I know we brainstorm a lot, so why don't you tell the viewers?
I don't know if we want to give them away, but I'll drop some hints. I will drop some hints.
Coming,
yeah. So, on top of these podcasts that we have coming, we have a ton of things. Like I have a list that is very in depth about what we want to talk about. Have just full on sections in the podcast, full on topics. But we have a ton of video ideas. Some are going to be really cool. Some are going to be really funny. Some may get us banned from places, not in a bad way. They just may not want us back. Some could be advice things, and some are definitely going to have some special guests that I think you guys are really going to be interested in. But we are really looking forward to it. All we need is just a little bit of support now. That's all we need.
This is more so an intro video, so comment below what you want to. I don't even know if it's gonna be comment setup, but some way give some feedback on what you guys see. But we have 2 different perspectives on it with both loads of experience, so I definitely think we have a lot to bring to the table, bro.
Yeah. Well, I think we're gonna wrap that up there. Are you good?
Yeah, that was kind of smooth.
Yeah.
Smooth landing. Yeah.
Well,
there's one more we can go into, but
there we go.
I don't want to bore them too much on the bodybuilding.
But all of our socials will be down in the bio, so go and check us out. BarbellBros on Instagram and TikTok and all that other stuff. We got our personals down there as well. Comment what you guys want to see next. We got a big list, but we do want to hear what you guys want. And thanks for watching. See you guys next time. Peace.
Take care.